Hi, we're here live with Tim Streeter, who's Senior Director of Global Talent Acquisition for Whirlpool, and it's really exciting. He's here for the first edition of our HR Leadership Talent Navigator series, where we're really looking at what's disrupting in the world of talent today, because we're moving in such a dynamic and fast-moving world of work. So welcome, Tim, to this edition, and thank you so much for your time today. Tim, I think there's many of us that did fall in love with recruitment and have experienced global roles, and I think it really shows how important talent acquisition is to overall business strategy today. And I know that, for many years, human capital leaders really fought for that seat at the executive table. But, we're all there now. And how do you see that, what's the important strategic role of talent today, and why is it so important to the CEO?
Yeah, I think businesses are realizing that regardless of what type of industry they're in, whether they're manufacturing products or they're in professional services, even if you think about different components, whether they're focused on process or technology or strategy, all of those things anchor back to people. So the strategy is created by people. The technologies are created by people. The processes are designed by people. And so really, regardless of your angle, people are important. And I think more and more companies are realizing that. So I do think there have been moments in history where talent acquisition has been a bit buried under HR. There have been other moments with other leaders, in my experience, where it's been elevated and even looked at separate from HR. So from my perspective, where it's positioned in Whirlpool makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think it's a separate thing. It's absolutely a part of HR. But I think it should be certainly just as important as every other aspect of HR. And when you're designing an HR leadership team, talent acquisition needs to be at the table as well. So if I think about that as a baseline, what I would say is, while we're there, how do we keep talent front and center? How do we keep it on the agenda? I think it's important as talent leaders to be able to articulate the business strategies. And it's often not one, it's often different dimensions or parts of the business. So whether you're an HR business partner and you're focused on one piece, or whether you're a talent lead for a company and you're focused on the broader perspective, I think always positioning the HR strategy, and in my case, the talent acquisition strategy, in the context of the business strategy keeps it relevant. And obviously there's some things that tend to be static year over year, and some things that are new and unexpected that you have to react to. So flexibility is key there as well. But from my perspective, the other piece is patience has been a strength of mine personally. But what I mean by that is it really need to find the right moment and the right broader initiative to attach your strategic item to advance the agenda. So I could have the most brilliant talent acquisition strategy and specific programs and initiatives that will bring that to life. But if it's not aligned with our HR strategy or our business strategy, it's of little value to the company. And so having the awareness, the understanding, and finding the right moment and the right project to attach it to, I think really positions a leader for success. So the last thing I would say about it is, I've also had some experiences where I've worked with different leaders, and they're very focused on what they're doing. We're working on this project and we've progressed it, so we feel good about it. And I asked the question, what did we get for that? What does Whirlpool get for that? And if you don't have a good answer to that question, if you don't have a measurable impact, whether it's speed, quality, value, diversity, candidate experience, if you don't have a good answer to that question, then you lose relevance. So I think as long as we continue to frame all the opportunities in that way and align it with the overall strategies, we remain relevant.
Randstad research shows us that with the diverse mix of all the different generations of people in our workforce today, that employer really needs to have a strong corporate social responsibility policy and drive the highest levels of diversity in its workforce that really can impact success. So how important are these elements to the talent that you're attracting and that you seek, and how are you delivering on these benefits at Whirlpool?
Yeah, I think they're absolutely critical. When we talk to candidates, they want to know what's our environmental impact. They want to know what's it like to work here. They want to know, what do we do for different groups? Do we have a video for diversity and inclusion and we say, oh, that we've done diversity and inclusion, or do we have real experiences, meaningful connections among employees? And do we do it to appease a need, or do we do it because we believe it makes our company better? Clearly, we believe it makes our company better. The diversity of products that we develop, the way that they're developed, and the business outcomes that those drive, we believe all of those are better if we have a diverse workforce. And by diverse, that could be generationally diverse, it could be ethnically diverse, it could be gender diversity, it could be geographic diversity. All those things make us better as a company. If I think about this question, there's really two dimensions that we would highlight when we're talking to candidates. One would be how we minimize our environmental impact, and the other would be how we encourage a culture of diversity within our company. So on the first piece, things we would highlight are some of the commitments that we've made and some of the investments that we've made. So we've committed to zero landfill waste by 2022 from all of our plants. We have invested in wind energy on site at multiple plants. We have rooftop solar panels at multiple plants, so many of them are self-sustaining. So these are things we haven't done because candidates or employees pushed us to do it. We've done it because it's the right thing for the communities that we live in and operate in, and we respect that. In terms of the culture, there's a culture of volunteering. 1 in 3 Whirlpool employees volunteers in the communities that they live in. I think that's significant. I don't think that's typical of most companies. It's very much an attraction. So particularly when you think about the 44 plants, those tend to be smaller, more rural communities. So to have people that care about the places they live in and trying to make them a better place is critical. When you think about some of our larger locations, some of our regional headquarters and global headquarters, there I think we tend to get more into some of the traditional aspects of diversity in terms of what we're doing there. But employee resource groups are critical. We have different employee resource groups in different regions, targeting different people, but certainly they share across regions as well. But really the whole idea is to help people understand, no matter where you are, you might think you're the only person that works remotely. You might think you're the only person that comes from a certain background. You might think you're the only person that's had a past experience that impacts how you approach work. The reality is you're not. And so our job in creating an inclusive culture is really to make it easy for you to find the other people that give you comfort, that you feel connected to, that help you be happy at work. And we do that in many different ways.
Wonderful. And I think, Tim, I love that it sounds like you're celebrating diversity, but also a range of different initiatives around sustainability in the Whirlpool business. And it creates a sustainable talent population that enjoys coming to work every day. So I think it's really fantastic to hear.
It's nice to be part of a company where we do it because it's the right thing to do, not because it helps us attract people. So it's a nice consequence for me in my role, but really, equally an attraction to me, to the company.
And Tim, in terms of the data analytics, is that a function within your own HR and talent acquisition group? Is that something that the team is invested in to really see how you can have an impact on business and workforce strategy?
Yeah, so in the case of Whirlpool, it's a shared function across HR. So it's not dedicated to talent acquisition specifically, but we do have a data and analytics team, which started quite small when I first joined Whirlpool and has already grown quite significantly. So I think as we are on our journey to really globalize, operate globally from a systems perspective, from a process perspective, from an organization perspective, we're seeing the parallel growth in the data analytics function.
Nice. And I think that's what we're seeing many organizations needing to invest in today. And it's like the new frontier for HR is ensuring that you've got probably both within the team data analysts and also technologists that have the capability to think about how do you need to use systems to connect to enable that level of detail on your workforce. So it's really great to hear that Whirlpool is already heading in those directions.
We're excited to see what we learn from it.
So thank you so much for your time today, Tim. That wraps up all the questions that we had for you. Is there any one last piece of advice you'd love to share with other heads of talent acquisitions that are facing the same level of global complexity you are in a pretty disruptive market that we have to face when it comes to talent?
So honestly, what I would share here is something simple, but something that took a long time for me to learn personally, which is as you're attacking all these problems and you're engaging all the different parts of the business and you're leveraging all your experiences and you're thinking about all the variables and competing priorities, sometimes you forget to have fun. That would be my reminder to everyone else, is if you're not having fun doing it, then reassess how you're doing it and make sure that you're enjoying it along the way. I think when that happens, it's much easier to drive the outcomes that you're looking for and develop the partnerships and relationships that you need